All right. Well, listen, we're laughing, and I want to get on to something that's really not a laughing matter, and that is COVID-19. And, the world is really still very heavily affected by this. We're very fortunate in New Zealand, as you and I were discussing off mic, we've almost got rid of it. We had a couple of cases yesterday, which has severely pissed everybody off because it was caused by a breakdown at the border. And prior to that, we'd had no cases for 24 days in a row. So that's a bit annoying, but we do have it under control. But there's no doubt it's still growing, not slowing around the world. Yeah, how's things in Ireland right now, firstly? And then I know you had a brush with it, if that's the right way to say it yourself. So, tell us a bit about your experiences as well.
Yeah, Ireland, I think, got fairly well hit. We have a little bit of the advantage, same as New Zealand, in that we are in Ireland. We can isolate reasonably well, but we shut down fairly early, but probably not early enough. And we're not in a bad place now. Infection rates are falling, death rates are falling, things are improving, and we had a fairly conservative 4-stage plan for opening up, and that's being accelerated through with care and attention to the current numbers. So stages that weren't due to come through until 20th of July are now being proposed to open up on the 29th of June. So we're quite optimistic about things developing.
Yeah.
Having said that, there is evidence that for some people it's not as serious as you might imagine. And if I was out for just running a few errands, and you're looking at the youngsters queuing for McDonald's, and the concept to them of social distancing, and it seems a little foreign. So I would hope that if we can re-emphasise the importance of people washing their hands and social distancing and looking after themselves, that we can continue to open up, because I think that the negative health impact is absolutely horrendous, but the economic impact I think we're going to carry with us for a long, long time.
For sure.
So it's tough from that, and I from my own personal experience, don't underestimate it. I didn't have a brush with it; it kicked my ass. If I can put it like that. I couldn't walk from one room to another in the house without being like I'd run a marathon. I had to put a stool halfway up my stairs to sit down to rest on the way up the stairs.
Unreal.
It was pretty bad, and it will affect everybody differently. And diver wise, we've seen some evidence now. There's divers who pretty asymptomatic, didn't have any real hit from it as such, but are carrying lung damage.
Yeah,
and of course the problem with that is probably for shallow recreational diving, they need to be careful, they need to get it checked out. But getting into decompression diving, where you're relying on the gaseous exchange at the lungs, that's a pretty serious issue.
And worker breathing, and
I think, to be honest with you, it's interesting with me with the CCR, because there will be less strain on the lungs with the CCR, and also your issues over CO2 retention, etc. That's something that you've got to watch, but it should be less of an issue than coping with the more positive pressure experience of open circuit, if you like. So I think the CCR approach to it will be easier, but at the same time, I think there's a greater risk of if you're CCR diving, it's likely you're decompression diving.
Yes.
And I think that's the element for me, is that how is it going to affect the gas exchange? How's it going to affect what's in your loop? How much CO2 production are you actually going to have? It's really trying to sort of understand and process what those are going to be like.
So having been through this experience and talking about future diving now, I mean, what approach are you taking to your own diving, having had COVID-19?
I'm quite lucky that, obviously, with a background in sports science and psychology, etc., that I've been able to have some pretty good contacts in the field medicine and hyperbaric medicine, etc. So I've been consulting with a lot of people, basically throwing the kitchen sink at the rehab side. So I've been dealing with a professor or assistant professor, consultant of respiratory medicine, a couple of hyperbaric docs, a couple of physiologists that I know, and also, things like working with a world championship freediver on breathing exercises.
Mm-hmm.
So getting all of those things into place to try and recover as much as functionality as possible. Also, through the COVID, I stayed off O2. I was admitted for one night only into the hospital. But also because I've got sort of that sort of physiological and medical background, and I'm a tech diver, or tech diving centre owner, I've got O2 on tap, as it were.
Yeah.
So I'd set up O2 in the house, got everything there so that I could utilise that, but went with the assumption that overutilising the O2 would reduce the amount of work that my lung tissue had to do, which would allow it to sort of shut down. And it's kind of like, if you go for a run and then you don't go for a run again for 2 weeks,
mm-hmm.
you lose the benefit of that fitness. It's the same if you don't exercise your lungs, you lose the benefit of it. So putting oxygen in means the lungs don't have to work very hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I deliberately minimized that. And again, chatting after the fact with my respiratory consultant, that's turned out to have been a big advantage in my favor,
Mm-hmm.
So, if somebody's listening to that, don't turn down O2 if the medics say you need it, but at the same time, don't jump onto the O2 because it means your lungs aren't having to work very hard.
And I guess there's an element of, just thinking it through a bit, there's an element of giving your lungs an opportunity to recover and helping your body to oxygenate when it really is struggling to do so. So that's what, one perspective. But then the other is, as you say, if you're unnecessarily going on O2 and you're not giving your lungs the opportunity to function to their full capacity, are you, or as they should?
I mean, I live in the country, and so I could literally just go for a walk around the house, and started off just being able to do one lap around the house, and that was kind of me done during the recovery. But I've been pushing that on and pushing that on and pushing that on, and don't tell anybody, but I'm actually back running.
For you, mate. That's awesome.
Anybody that knows me knows if they see me running to look out for somebody chasing me. But it's,
to warn the local trucks and buses to stay out of the way. That's right.
Exactly. Yeah. Hooker on the loose, mate.
Very good. And so, are you back diving, or is that in your near future?
No, it's in the near future. The DAN recommendation up here in Europe is 3 months from your COVID hit.
Mm-hmm. So
my last positive diagnosis for COVID was 20th of April. So that puts me April, May, June, July.
Okay.
So my plan is to be diving again by sort of third week of July, and being in the place. But I've had another chest X-ray and follow up, and I'm monitoring the fitness and the lung capacity and outputs, and that's all tracking in the direction that we want.
Yeah.
I've got some contacts in a chamber here as well, so I'll jump in a chamber for a couple of dry dives, and see how I do with that as well. And we can actually measure the expired gases there, so I can see what's happening with that one.
Be interesting to hear the results of that. I don't know if you're going to write anything up or do anything on that. It'd be really interesting to hear the results of that and what if you can discover anything from that.
I think the guys that I'm working with are quite keen. We're trying to be as open as possible with the information. So I think would be quite keen to get something out there when we know. I've taken a lot from pneumonia. I mean, effectively, the COVID hit on the lungs is a double pneumonia.
Mm-hmm. So
it's what they've used in terms of post pneumonia rehab and recovery has been useful as well. So as to say, we've thrown the kitchen sink at it.
Well, all the best for getting back to diving.